Welcome, everyone. I think that was just a reminder to turn off your cell phones. Thank you for coming today to the League of Women Voters' very special program. My name is Vina Meixel. I'm president of the League of Women Voters, Leelanau County. For those of you in the audience who do not know about the League, we are nonpartisan. We never, ever support candidates or parties. But we do study and advocate for a number of issues at the local, state, and national levels. Our league became independent last June. We currently have 99 members, both men and women, and we welcome new members. To be a member, you must be 18 years of age or older and an American citizen. For more information about our league, there are brochures on this table here, and we also have a sign-up sheet for you to receive information about our future events. Before I turn the microphone over to Suzanne, I'd like to tell you about two upcoming league events taking place later this month. On Monday, February 10th, we are showing a film at 3 p.m. at the Old Art Building in Leland. This movie is a 2006 documentary that explores the creation, limited production, and subsequent destruction of the battery electric car that was in the United States in the mid-1990s. You are all invited. There is no charge, but we would, of course, appreciate donations. On Tuesday, February 25th, our Energy Committee is hosting a mini energy fair and forum on community energy resilience. How do we achieve it? In this same room. The fair from 6 to 7 will feature exhibits, brochures, and representatives from green community, businesses, and organizations with many action-oriented ideas. At 7 p.m., we will hear 4 speakers address this topic. Information about both events are on the table if you did not receive one when you came in. I'd also like to call your attention to several exhibits we have. Over there, Suzanne and her committee have put together a whole bunch of things about the migrant farm worker study that they've been doing. And there's also information from the Northwest Michigan Health Services, Inc. One of their representatives is here in the audience today. And now, our program. This afternoon, we are in for an outstanding presentation by our panel. But first, I'd like to recognize the wonderful work of the Farm Labor Task Force and its chair, Suzanne Hoff. This group has been working together for the past 3 years on a study of agricultural migrant workers and employers in Leelanau County. I hope many of you saw and read the article in this Sunday's Record Eagle about this event. Suzanne will introduce the panel and explain the procedures for asking questions. Following Q&A, we will have a short business meeting for league members. Again, thank you for coming.
Can you all hear me pretty well? Good, thank you. We welcome you, our audience, and thank you so much to our guest panelists for participating today. I'd also like to acknowledge the members of our Farm Labor Task Force, and would you please stand when I call your names? Christy Bardenhagen, Betsy Beechnow, B.J. Christensen, Fran Eckerson, Jay Johnson, Barbara Crossey, Marion Kromkowski, Steve Morse, and myself, Suzanne Hoff. Our member, Carla Whitell, is currently in Washington, D.C., attending the American Farm Workers Opportunity Program with the intent to advocate for farm workers and the Telemon program, which is federally funded. I can't tell you the hard work that these members do and the great appreciation I have for all that they've done. And part of that, thank you. Well, some background information for this program. Using our 2012 Leelanau unit study on the employment methods used by agricultural employers in our area. As a foundation, we have undertaken a new study and we've completed the interviews with agricultural employers, workers, and support agencies on the continuing and evolving challenges faced by our Leelanau County agricultural sector to secure and sustain a viable and skilled agricultural workforce. Agriculture and immigration are key areas of study and advocacy by the League of Women Voters of the United States. The National League position on immigration states that immigration policies should meet the economic, business, and employment needs of the United States, including allowing foreign workers to enter and leave the United States to meet seasonal and sporadic labor needs. For various reasons, since 2001, securing skilled workers has become more and more challenging for our county agricultural employers. But what's the upside of our farm economy? We can brag that Leelanau County is #1 in the United States for tart cherry production and produces 70% of the national total. In Michigan, Leelanau County is #1 and 2 in acres of sweet and tart cherry production. We're #3 in acres of fruit and tree nuts. That's a USDA category, although I haven't seen any tree nuts under production here. So that's a good indicator that our fruit is well and plentiful. And we're #6 in revenue in the state from fruit, tree nuts, and berries. In the 2007 census, nearly 60,000 acres, where 25% of our total county acres were in farms. On the Leelanau County website, leelanau.cc, it is noted that agriculture contributes as much as $50 million to our county economy. And then nationally, Michigan is second only to California in crop diversity. That's over 200 different crop families. But 50% of the crops in Michigan cannot be harvested mechanically. All produce grown for the fresh market, such as Balaton cherries, apples, strawberries, blackberries, asparagus, and wine grapes, must be skillfully harvested by hand to protect the vulnerable condition of the fruit, the soil, the plant, the vine, or the tree. Crop maintenance and harvest calls for reliable workers from April or May through October or November, with a large labor pool needed for each crop at its peak of ripeness. So skilled, seasonal, and migrant workers are essential to the survival of Leelanau County agriculture. Domestic workers, for the most part, will not take labor jobs or are able to last only a few days, even when the wages are competitive. Farm labor and processing jobs are typically seasonal, of short duration, repetitive, physically demanding, often dirty, and require long days outdoors in all kinds of weather. Is anyone in your family ready to sign up? So, unless you anticipate a future in agriculture, the skill set required to do farm work proficiently holds little value. Well, a little history. For 400 years, our national labor history has included soliciting, kidnapping, enslaving, or negotiating with other countries for foreign workers to do our hard labor. One example of negotiation is the invaluable Bracero program in place from 1942 to 1964, which drew over 400,000 desperately needed farm workers annually from Mexico, particularly at its peak during World War II. Well, the United States now legislates to control the ebb and flow of agricultural workers through federal law and complex federal agency interactions. Overlap that with state and local authority. This year, we may see the approval of a new federal farm worker visa, or several visas. In the Senate immigration bill, SB 744, is a proposed blue card program for current undocumented agricultural workers with a W-2 visa for future farm workers to replace the H-2A visa, which will be explained by one of our panelists, and a W-3 visa to allow at-will employment where the contracted worker may work for several different employees, which is not possible through the H-2A program. All three are designed to expand the agricultural employers' access to skilled, reliable workers. But what if Mother Nature plays an unexpected hand and you don't have a crop? So with the extent of the devastating cherry and apple crop loss of 2012, longtime seasonal workers were turned away. Other workers and their families were alerted not to come north. There was not enough work for them in Leelanau County. Surviving crops were harvested by reduced labor crews. Local employers feared that workers would find work elsewhere and not return in 2013. Well, then came the wonderful 2013 and a bountiful crop. But what happened then? Vineyard and apple growers had to compete for a smaller pool of harvest workers. One county farmer left Honeycrisp apples on the trees for lack of pickers. Some farmers pulled trees to balance crop costs, market trends, and a reduced workforce. What are an employer's options? As I mentioned, there is the H-2A contract program, which is, by all accounts, cumbersome, expensive, and difficult unless you are a large producer and can use a large number of workers for a very select period of time. Well, even if a new streamlined visa program is enacted, what will attract skilled workers, be they single workers or extended families, willing to travel as far as 1,800 miles to Leelanau County, the northern end of the migrant stream? What does it take? A fair wage, quality of life factors such as good housing, educational opportunities for their children or themselves, accessible health care, fair treatment by law enforcement, by employers, and by residents. The answer to all of that is yes, those are important. To explore how Leelanau County agricultural sector addresses these issues, we've invited our 4 panel members to speak to their experience. And I would like to introduce those panel members. Immediately to my left is Sierra Gould, the director of the Telamon Migrant Head Start Summer Program. Now you may have seen the sign for that. It's south of Sutton's Bay, but north of McAllister Road on the west side. It's a steep drive up to the building. She previously held the position of education specialist for Telamon, overseeing all educational staff, and has the annual challenge of serving 30 eager students, preschool students, with unfortunately reduced staff, and she'll tell us about that. Next to her is Ana Garcia, married with 2 children. She came to the United States at the age of 11, knowing only a few words of English. At the age of 13, she began field work with her family, harvesting strawberries, cherries, and apples. She has been a recruiter for the TBA ISD Migrant Summer Education Program for ages grades K through 12th grade, and is currently a student at Northwestern Michigan College under the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival status. And next is Ginger Bardenhagen, grew up on the Bardenhagen Farms in Leelanau Township. She's currently a resource analyst for the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development and has been an inspector in the Migrant Labor Housing Program since 2010, and her inspection district covers 10 counties, all including our Northwest Michigan area. And Don Gregory Grew up on a Michigan dairy farm, taught school for 4 years, and then began cherry farming in Leelanau County in 1974. In 1995, the family-run operation became Cherry Bay Orchards, Inc., growing apples and sweet cherries with a major crop focus of tart cherries. 1,600 acres are currently under production in this county. Cherry Bay Orchards is also a founding member of the Grower Marketing Cooperative and fruit drying operation, Shoreline Fruit. Okay, to start our conversation here, and we ask that you hold questions. That's what your cards are for. So please write your question on the little 3x5 card given to you, 2x2 card given to you. There will be a runner, Fran Erickson on this side, BJ on this side. Just hold up your card when you've completed a question or you need another card, and they will make sure it gets to our small committee in the back who will consolidate the questions. So if you don't hear at the end your exact question asked, it may have been joined with other similar questions, but we may get the same result. Sierra, I'd like to start with you. Would you please tell us about the Migrant Head Start program, who it serves, and the challenges of meeting its program goals?
Sure. This is on. Can you hear me? Okay. I am Sierra. I'm the Center Director at the Suttons Bay Migrant Head Start. It's a seasonal program, early childhood program, runs through the mid part of June through the beginning part of November. We're one of many centers throughout the state of Michigan, actually. We're federally funded for 32 children, ages infant through when they're ready to go to kindergarten. We served 39 last year. We want to serve as many children as possible, though, so we're always recruiting. Let's see, eligibility, 51% of their income, the family's income needs to be from agriculture. The children must meet age requirements. They should be considered migrant, meaning they've moved for work in agriculture over the past 2 years. And be under the federal poverty guidelines. We do have we had five.
Sierra,
Yes.
can you hold the mic as if it's a microphone?
Yes.
We
had,
it's a
sure.
megaphone.
We had 5 seasonal slots last year, although that's flexible within the state. So if there was a family who was seasonal and we'd already used our 5 slots, we would be able to work with that. Also, we are allowed 10% over income, which is also flexible. Like I said, I have 3 classrooms, 1 infant, 1 toddler, and 1 preschool. That allows us to have 36 children at one time. We have great equipment and materials to foster all areas of development, physical, cognitive, social, emotional, etc. The education staff qualifications, in order to be a teacher at the Head Start program, we need people who have early childhood backgrounds. So that's kind of challenging in a seasonal program. That's probably my biggest struggle. Let's see. We do have bilingual staff. It's a requirement that there's 1 bilingual assigned person per classroom. And my family service staff person, that's the person who recruits and works with families, must be bilingual. Let's see. Some of the other services we have for the children, health and dental services, healthy meals. We provide breakfast, lunch, and snack every day. Mental health and disability services. We refer to the county ISD or early on if that were a need. We do offer services for parents as well. Parent education, like with health or education. We do family partnership agreements, which outline goals the parents have for themselves and help match them up to outside agencies to meet those goals. Let's see, we have many positions throughout the center, not just education staff positions, but health services, education services, food service, bus drivers. Many of those positions will be open in the spring too. I guess my biggest struggles you're asking would be with staffing, especially bus drivers. We do cover the Leelanau Peninsula side, but we go up to Old Mission as well. Education staff, if like this past season, I couldn't accept all 8 infants or all 8 toddlers because I was missing a teacher. The ratio is 4 to 1, so.
Sarah, what is your average teacher pay?
With an associate's degree, it's between 14 and 16, I believe, dollars an hour. And the education specialist is between $17 and $18 an hour. Yeah.
That's gotta be a challenge.
Let's see. Yes, so staffing, and then being federally funded, we are required to generate 25% of our operating costs every year through in-kind, which would be donations of services, materials, time, things like that. Being understaffed, that was not one of our focal points, which could hurt the grant in the long run. So that's one of the other things I want to really focus on next year is meeting in kind. Yeah, so I guess my goals for next year are just to be fully and appropriately staffed early in the season, to get out and recruit sooner in the camps, open the center on time, and to meet in kind. And lastly, just to continue to network and create partnerships with outside agencies to provide the best services that we can.
Thank you. Could you just briefly speak to the value this program has to the people who use it?
Yes, our families are ready and waiting for us to come and open our doors. They are here, like you said, as early as May sometimes to work, and they need a place for their children. So as soon as we can open our doors, we'll take their babies and they can, do what they need to do, what they came here to do.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anna, would you tell us about your experience as a farm worker? And what were the challenges for you, and what did you like about it?
Hi everyone. As you were saying, being a farm worker is not always easy. Being all day outside in the sun is very hard, especially as a child. Most of the time that I worked, I was a child, and it was in the summertime. I missed a lot of events at school. I play volleyball in Leland, and I missed many of their volleyball camps because I had to go to work, or my parents couldn't afford paying for the summer camp. I like being outside eating the strawberries. I like being with my neighbors because they were also at work, and that made it easier on me being outside with everyone. And just, you do have fun when you're working with your neighbors and everybody's outside. You don't have to worry about not screaming because you're in an office, or you're always doing races, who's picking more, or it's not all bad. There's fun to it as well. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. You attended elementary school in Grant, Michigan, and then you attended the Leland school system. Could you tell us a bit about that and how it helped you?
Okay. The first school I went to was Leland. I was here for 1 whole year. I didn't speak English, just understood a little bit. when I moved to Grant, it was very helpful because Grant has a very well-structured school system when it comes to migrants. They have a classroom where anyone that has a challenge with the language, they just go to the room with 2 teachers. They're always teaching you English. That's their main focus, for you to learn English. And they have like an hour for math, but their focus is English. And once you're ready, once they feel that you're ready, they send you out and to a different class, art class, or whatever they think you're ready for. So I was there for a whole winter. So when I came back to Leland, I felt more prepared. I felt better at trying my words that I knew, and I feel like I learned a lot in Grant for that reason. It was just here where I was going from one class to another and not keeping everything, where over there it was just I'm focused on learning English and I guess learning math, but mainly English. And yeah, that was quite a different experience. But.
And would you tell us about your experience with the TBA ISD Summer Migrant Program and what you did there?
Okay. I started working for TBA ISD's migrant program in May, and it kind of brought me back to where I come from and just seeing everyone and what they're doing. I guess once I graduated and started other jobs, like working at a restaurant and things, I was kind of pulled away from the migrant part of it. And with this program, I was brought back to all the experiences because as a recruiter, I'm always out there in the camps and sometimes even at the orchards looking for the parents to register their kids for the summer migrant program, which is the summer school. And I guess we see that I came here when I was 11, so that was 13 years ago, and it's the same. I feel like it's still the same thing. Nothing has really changed. There's a lot of people still coming, and there's kids who, like me, they can't speak English, or they're still working out in the farms. I don't see anything different now that I'm out there.
Thank you very much. We'll come back with more questions. Ginger, okay, inspecting housing, and as we've heard from about the programs of the 2 previous speakers, how important housing is to bring in migrant workers. Could you speak to what you do?
Sure. First off, my face is going to turn really red if it hasn't already, so let's just get that out of the way. I'm just kind of curious, how many in the audience are farmers? If you could raise your hands. Higher, maybe higher. Okay, thank you. And how many of you have migrant housing? A few less. Okay, just kind of trying to gauge the audience here. So I'm going to do a quick rundown of what I look for when I inspect migrant housing, just to give some of you an idea of what I do. We inspect housing that has 5 or more workers. We also inspect housing that has fewer workers if people want us to, but they're required to license if a farmer is required to license if they have 5 or more workers. Now they could have 10 kids in there as well and 2 workers, and that doesn't meet our threshold. Just